creatures need to obey. No one can survive without trusting someone they feel is better, more worthy than themselves. To avoid that responsibility, those who are worthy look even higher, searching for more superior beings. And those superiors do the same, looking for even stronger individuals they can believe in. That is how all kings are created. It is also how gods are born.
All right. What's good, everybody? I know it's been a minute. Uh, it's been a minute, but we're gonna get to it. Salute, Lawrence Guy. Just let me know if the sound is coming through okay. If you can hear everything, and we'll get to it here. Um, but yes, as the title says, Solomon, the bar for wisdom. We're gonna get down into that here, and we're gonna might ruffle some feathers here. Uh, it's me. Who am I talking about? We're probably gonna ruffle feathers here. It's what I'm good at. It's what I do. I enjoy it. But um, starting off, I find it interesting how Solomon, the son of David, is considered the standard for knowledge and wisdom, especially among Christians. And when you challenge this idea, the looks and responses you get from them, it's hilarious to me. Um, Today we'll go into the Bible to show you how, in reality, he was a damn fool, and instead of the standard of what a man is supposed to, and instead of the standard of what a man is supposed to be, is pushed by so-called believers. So to illustrate this, we'll be studying from the book of Deuteronomy. I will be going to chapter 18, verses 9 through 14, and then we'll finish up with chapter 20, verses 1 through 20. But before I start reading, I must also start off by stating that the Almighty is a God of war, and anyone who thinks different doesn't understand power or peace. There's a Latin adage. I know Lawrence would know exactly where I'm going. Um, I believe it's said, "Sis vis pacem para bellum," which translates in English to "If you want peace, prepare for war." Because the irrefutable truth throughout human history is that one man's peace is another man's chaos, which is why if you seek peace, war is inevitable. But we're going to get into it today. I hope you have fun with this. What's good, Liam? What's good, man? All right, good. The sound and video, okay. Good. So we're going to get into it. And like I said, we'll first start off with Deuteronomy chapter 18, verse 9 through 14. You know how we do it here. I'll be reading from the Amplified version. Hey, look. Hey, this class. Hey, you bring your books to class. It's the only way. It's the only way to study. You bring your book. You bring your books to study. So this is how we're going. So starting off with verse 9 in Deuteronomy, chapter 18, reads as such: When you enter the land which the Lord your God has given you, you shall not learn to imitate the detestable, repulsive practices of those nations. There shall not be found among you anyone who makes his son or daughter pass through fire, meaning as a sacrifice. One who uses divination, and divination is basically uh, trying to use supernatural means to gain understanding or see the future. Um, so, one who uses divination, fortune telling, one who practices witchcraft, or one who interprets omens, or a sorcerer, or one who casts a charm or spell, or a medium, or a spiritist, or a necromancer. Uh, I mean, with uh, who I have usually here, I'm pretty sure we all know what the necromancer means, but it's one who seeks to use and control the dead. Verse 12. For everyone who does these things is utterly repulsive to the Lord, and because of these detestable practices, the Lord your God is driving them out before you. You shall be blameless before the Lord your God. For these nations which you shall dispossess, listen to those who practice witchcraft and to diviners and fortune tellers. But as for you, the Lord your God has not allowed you to do so. Uh, I think that passage there is very telling. Uh, if you claim to be about the Lord God, Yahweh, El Shaddai, the Almighty, whatever monikers are given to him, witchcraft, zodiac, all of that mess. You are not supposed to be about that. You are not supposed to practice in that stuff, trying to use unnatural, supernatural means to look into the future and all that mess, trying to go to you. That's not what you're supposed to be about. It's not given to you. That's why whenever I look at this, whenever I use the Bible, it's always meant. I've always looked at it for the practical means. I'm not using it for any of the supernatural, the hocus pocus stuff. Don't focus on that. I can't walk on water. Can't nobody touch me and just be healed. I can't do none of all this stuff. So there's no point in focusing on it to me. I'm supposed to focus on the things that I do have control over, and what I do have the ability to do. Now, moving forward to chapter 20 of Deuteronomy, uh, starting with verse 1. Um, it reads as such. When you go out to battle against your enemies and see horses and chariots and people more numerous than you, do not be afraid of them, for the Lord your God, who brought you up from the land of Egypt, is with you. When you approach the battle, the priest shall come forward and speak to the people, and shall say to them, Hear, O Israel, you are advancing today to battle against your enemies. Do not lack courage, do not be afraid or panic or tremble in terror before them, for the Lord your God is he who goes with you to fight for you against your enemies to save you. I'm going to stop right here for a moment, because as we know, the topic is on Solomon. And you can kind of see what it's going around to, what it's coming into. And it's that all of the things that we read that you're not supposed to do, what you're supposed to do, Solomon didn't do it. He didn't hold that standard to that. He did not do it. So picking up again with verse 5, reading forward. The officers shall also speak to the soldiers, saying, What man is there who has built a new house and has not yet dedicated it? And basically what that means here is that the ownership of a house, it was required for dedication. Basically here what it's saying is that the original owner had died, because remember I spoke to you before, we're talking about war, they're going into battle, so they're actually taking it from somebody. So the house has to be dedicated. There has to be some type of ritual concerning the priest and everything. So moving forward, let him go and return to his house. Otherwise, he might die in the battle, and another man would dedicate it. What man has planted a vineyard and has not put it to use, meaning harvesting its fruit? Let him go and return to his house. Otherwise, he might die in the battle, and another man will begin to use its fruit. And who is the man who is engaged to a woman and has not married her? Let him go and return to his house. Otherwise, he might die in the battle, and another man would marry her. I want to stop here again for a moment. What's good, third? What's good, third ward? Uh, you see here what it's saying. Whenever you're going to battle, you have no time for thoughts that aren't concerning battle. These are the questions that will be asked because everybody that's having these thoughts right here, they will go ahead and dismiss them because they would be in the way, and they wouldn't need them, especially when they already had God laying out the battlefield and setting the stage for them. GG's here. What's good? So anybody whose mind was not committed and put forth on the battle at hand, they were in the way, and they would be a waste and a hindrance to every other soldier on the battlefield. Essentially, they'd be fighting for the other team. So moving forward with verse 8, then the officers shall speak further to the soldiers and say, who is the man who is afraid and lacks courage? Let him go and return to his house, so that he does not cause his brother's courage to fail like his own. And it shall be, when the officers have finished speaking to the soldiers, they shall appoint commanders of armies over them. When you advance to a city to fight against it, you shall first offer it terms of peace. If the city accepts your terms of peace and opens its gates to you, then all the people who are found in it shall become your forced labor and shall serve you. Very telling here. However, if it does not make peace with you, but makes war against you, then you shall lay siege to it. When the Lord your God gives it into your hand, you shall strike down all the men in it with the edge of the sword. Only the women and children and the animals and everything that is in the city, all is spoil, you shall take as plunder for yourself. And you shall use the spoil of your enemies, which the Lord your God has given to you. That is what you shall do to all the cities that are very far away from you, which are not among the cities of these nations nearby. Only in the cities of these peoples that the Lord your God is giving you as an inheritance, you shall not leave alive anything that breathes, but you shall utterly destroy them. The Hittite, the Amorite, the Canaanite, the Perizzite, the Hivite, and the Jebusite, just as the Lord your God has commanded you, so that they will not teach you to act in accordance with all the detestable practices which they have done, basically in worship and service for their gods, and in this way cause you to sin against the Lord your God. When you besiege a city for a long time, making war against it in order to capture it, you shall not destroy its trees. And these trees, it means there are the fruit bearing trees, by swinging an axe against them, for you may not eat from them, and you shall not cut them down, for is the tree of the field a man that it should be besieged by you. Only the trees which you know are not fruit trees shall you destroy and cut down, so that you may build siege works against the city that is making war with you until it falls. So you see here in these scriptures I read here, Solomon could not be the bar for wisdom, because what he did was he never tore down any of the idols and anything that represented the gods of the women that he married, the women that he took in. He allowed them to keep those practices. He allowed them to keep them in the kingdoms he already conquered. He allowed them to practice their traditional practices of their gods in his presence, and he and he was there too. So the man who threw God in the trash to make them women his God, there can be nothing wise about him. There is no wisdom in abandoning a God who gave you everything that you could ever need and more, to make individuals who gave no care about you whatsoever, but out of fear of having to go to battle with those countries, to make those women your gods and put your whole fate in their hands. Solomon was a fool. It even states in the scripture where God said that David, even though he had wronged, he was still a man after his own heart. He was still a man after God's own heart, which is why the line of David itself, never received any punishment, because even though he messed up, he still was all about God. Even though he royally messed up, but he still never put anyone before God. But the same cannot be said about Solomon. And the proof is in one of the nicknames they gave Jesus. They called him the son of David, because he too, in a different way, was one after God's own heart. But I just want to leave you with that for today. Get ready here. I got to what I need to do. Want to post the link to the barbershop talk in the chat here. Let me find that real quick. And see if I can find it here. If Lawrence don't beat me to it. But get that link, and what we'll do is we'll move over there. We'll bring up the usual suspects, and we'll have a conversation and have fun. Fun with talking about this and Solomon and how big of a fool he really was. All right, got this link here. Hold on. There we go. Thank you, Lawrence. I'll put it again, paste it in here right in behind there. That is the link to the barbershop talk. That's where we'll move to. I hadn't forgot. I was running a little bit late. I will. You'll be getting it here shortly whenever I get in there, and I'll put that out. But I want to say thank you to everyone for coming out. I hope you got a lot out of this. Hey, don't be a hospital gown nigga. Peace.